Welcome to Poetry Beyond the Buzz. For the first half of this episode, I'm going to read some of Emily Dickinson's poetry. Emily lived a very simple and very secluded life. Her later life was in complete seclusion, and fortunately, her sister ignored her advice about destroying her poetry, and because of that, we've been able to enjoy it for over 150 years. Next up, the outlet. My river runs to thee, blue sea, wilt welcome me? My river waits reply, O sea, look graciously. I'll fetch thee books from spotted nooks. Say sea, take me. First up, a song of service. Some keep the Sabbath going to church. I keep it staying at home, with a bobolink for a chorister and an orchard for a dome. Some keep the Sabbath in surplus. I just wear my wings, and instead of tolling the bell for church, our little sexton sings. God preaches, a noted clergyman, and the sermon is never long. So instead of getting to heaven at last, I'm going all along. Next up, the parting. My life closed twice before its close. It yet remains to see if immortality unveil a third event to me, so huge, so hopeless to conceive, as these that twice befell. Parting is all we know of heaven, and all we need of hell. Next up, ghosts. One need not be a chamber to be haunted. One need not be a house. The brain has corridors surpassing material place. Far safer of a midnight meeting, external ghost, than an interior confronting that whiter host. Far safer through an abbey gallop, the stones a chase, than moonless one's own self encounter in lonesome place. Next up, asleep. As far from pity as compliant, as cool to speech as stone, as numb to revelation as if my trade were bone, as far from time as history, as near yourself today, as children to the rainbow scarf or sunset's yellow play. Two eyelids in the sepulchre, how still the dancer lies, while colors revelations break and blaze the butterflies. Next up, sight. Before I got my eye put out, I liked as well to see as other creatures that have eyes and know no other way. But were it told to me today that I might have the sky for mine, I tell you that my heart would split for size of me. The meadow's mine, the mountain's mine, all forests, stintless stars, as much of noon as I could take between my finite eyes. Next up, Indian summer. These are the days when birds come back, a very few, a bird or two, to take a backward look. These are the days when skies put on the old sophistries of June, a blue and gold mistake. Oh, fraud that cannot cheat the bee, almost thy plausibility induces my belief, till ranks of seeds their witness bear, and softly through the altered air hurries the timid leaf. Next up, a well. What mystery pervades a well? The water lives so far, like neighbor from another world, residing in a jar. The grass does not appear afraid. I often wonder he can stand so close and look so bold at what is dread to me. Related somehow they may be. The sedge stands next the sea, where he is floorless, yet of fear no evidence gives he. But nature is a stranger yet. The ones that sight her most have never passed her haunted house, nor simplified her ghost. Up next, simplicity. How happy is the little stone that rambles in the road alone, and doesn't care about careers and exigencies, never fears, whose coat of elemental brown a passing universe put on, and independent as the sun, associates or glows alone, fulfilling absolute decree in casual simplicity. Up next, griefs. I measure every grief I meet with analytic eyes. I wonder if it weighs like mine or has an easier size. I wonder if they bore it long or did it just begin. I could not tell the date of mine. It feels so old a pain. I wonder if it hurts to live and if they have to try, and whether, could they choose between, they would not rather die. I wonder if when years have piled, some thousands, on the cause of early hurt, if such a lapse could give them any pause. Up next, with flowers. South winds jostle them, bumblebees come, hover, hesitate, drink, and are gone. Butterflies pause on their passage cashmere. I, softly plucking, present them here. Up next, experience. I stepped from plank to plank, so slow and cautiously. The stars about my head I felt, about my feet the sea. I knew not but the next would be my final inch. This gave me that precarious gait some call experience. Last up, some final words from Emily Dickenson. Moving on to the second part. For part 2 of this episode, I am going to do some spoken word from some poems of Oscar Wilde, famous English writer and poet who was taught poetry from his mother. He was influenced by Shakespeare, Poe, Keats, among other writers and poets, and he died young after being imprisoned for a number of years. Up first, the ballad of Reading Gaol. Yet each man kills the thing he loves, by each let this be heard. Some do it with a bitter look, some with a flattering word. The coward does it with a kiss, the brave man with a sword. Up next, in the forest. Out of the midwoods twilight, into the meadows dawn, ivory-limbed and brown-eyed, flashes my fawn. He skips through the copses singing, and his shadow dances along, and I know not which I should follow, shadow or song. O hunter, snare me his shadow, O nightingale, catch me his strain, else moonstruck with music and madness, I track him in vain. Next up, my voice. Within this restless, hurried, modern world, we took our heart's full pleasure, you and I, and now the white sails of our ship are furled, and spent the lading of our argosy. Wherefore my cheeks before their time were wan, for very weeping is the gladness fled. Sorrow has paled my young mouth's vermilion, and ruin draws the curtains on my bed. But all this crowded life has been to thee no more than lyre or flute or subtle spell of viols or the music of the sea that sleeps a mimic echo in the shell. Up next, Trististia. O well for him who lives at ease with garnered gold and wide domain, nor heeds the splashing of the rain, the crashing down of forest trees. O well for him who never hath known the travail of the hungry years, a father gray with grief and tears, a mother weeping all alone. But well for him whose foot hath trod the weary road of toil and strife, yet from the sorrows of his life builds ladders to the nearer God. Up next, Requiescat. Tread lightly, she is near. Under the snow, speak gently, she can hear the daisies grow. All her bright golden hair tarnished with rust, she that was young and fair, fallen to dust. Lily-like, white as snow, she hardly knew she was a woman, so sweetly she grew. Coffin board, heavy stone, lie on her breast. I vex my heart alone, she is at rest. Peace, peace she cannot hear, lyre or sonnet, all my life's buried here, heap earth upon it. And to close this out, 3 short thoughts from Oscar Wilde. I think it is very healthy to spend time alone. You need to know how to be alone and not be defined as another person. Never love anybody who treats you like you're ordinary. I think it is very healthy to spend time alone. You need to know how to be alone and not be defined as another person. Till next we meet.